How about a Coppola Quick Facts?
Coppola Quick Facts, I have a bunch. I didn't actually put any in the episode, so we're pretty top-heavy on these, but I'll get right to it. Dracula introduces himself as Prince of Wallachia, Wenatchee,
says it.
Wallace and Gromit, Wallachia.
I always, like, when I read the book, I always thought it was like Wallachia was how I pronounced it, but he says it like Wallachia or something.
Well, that just might be Nick Cage.
But it could also be the actual way to say it. So. If I hadn't had the subtitles on, I wouldn't.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Wallachia.
If I hadn't had the subtitles on, I wouldn't have known that's what he was saying, because he said it so different from how I read it in my head, which isn't obviously authoritative on anything.
It's out of Transylvania, so it would make sense that it would be pronounced that way, especially the way that Bela Lugosi pronounced things back in the day. Anyways, the historical Vlad Dracula, or Vlad the Impaler, was indeed the ruler of Wallachia, however you say it, and had a reputation for cruelty. Well known that this is the origin of Dracula. Dracula was actually a nickname bestowed on him, which translates as Little Dragon.
Mm-hmm. So maybe I don't know if it's mentioned in the Dracula book. Maybe I'm just confusing it with the actual history of Vlad Tepes. But I've seen Wallachia written out tons of times. I just didn't realize that's how you said it. Yeah.
Transylvania was the northern neighbor to Wallachia. Fakasha. Renfield syndrome, also known as clinic vampirism, is a rare psychiatric disorder where an individual has an intense fascination with drinking blood or believing themselves to be a vampire. Wow, it sounds so familiar, like we've seen a movie based on that.
Familiar, huh?
God damn it.
The syndrome is named after the character, of course, of R.M. Renfield, which I don't know if his name is ever actually Robert Montague in the book, but it's R.M. And I remember it was R.M. in the original Dracula movie. But yeah, from Bram Stoker's novel Dracula, of course, who consumed live insects to obtain their life force. So yeah, it's exactly Vampire's Kiss. I mean, like I have to wonder if that's where the inspiration for Vampire's Kiss came from, was they were reading up on Renfield syndrome.
I would think so. Yeah. The further we get from that movie, the more I really do believe it was written as like, a look at his mental health declining and believing that he is slipping into that syndrome. Or he is slipping into that syndrome, believing that he is transforming into Dracula.
Mm-hmm. I could see like somebody working in a psychiatric hospital running into like a homeless guy who had Renfield syndrome and was like, "Oh my God, this would make a great movie."
I'm a vampire.
In an interview with Collider, director Chris McKay admitted that the film is actually intended to serve as a direct sequel to Todd Browning's 1931 Dracula. McKay had also attempted to have the film's trailers and posters refer to this fact, but ultimately didn't pan out. They decided to go away from that.
Yeah.
But the movie actually uses footage from the iconic original Dracula from Universal for the flashback scenes. Nicholas Hoult and Nicolas Cage are inserted into the footage seamlessly with editing techniques, which is one of my favorite sections of the movie, because it's like so well done.
I want just a remake of the original with them.
Yes, that would be amazing. They did such a good job. Like, I feel like the guy who played Renfield in the original was much more creepy, and Nicholas Hoult is just too wholesome and handsome to play that role the way that the original guy did. He was like, he really comes off as a creep, like Especially that scene of him looking up when they're on the boat. Like in the original, he looks so creepy and sinister. Mm-hmm. But actual Nicholas Hoult this version of Renfield, not nearly as much. Even when he's trying to be creepy in that scene, he just can't pull it off.
I did like him doing the Renfield laugh for one part of the movie.
One part, yeah. The circumstances of Renfield meeting Dracula and falling under his control are presented as an extended reference to how Dracula depicted these same events. Several key shots from the 1931 film are even recreated with Timothy. Why do I keep calling him Timothy? Nicholas Hoult and Nicolas Cage in place of Dwight Frye and Bela Lugosi, of course. Likewise, they play the music from Swan Lake, which is a shout out to the fact that the music was used for the opening credits of the 1931 film. So really well done. Like you said, like let's just make that movie.
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage's uncle, of course, the famous Francis Ford Coppola. Coppola.
We haven't done this in a while.
I'll start saying it wrong again after 3 years. He, of course, directed a version of Dracula in 1992.
God, I forgot about that.
Which is not... I mean, I don't know. Some people love it, but I didn't think it was that amazing. But the studio actually wanted Nick Cage instead of Keanu Reeves to play Jonathan Harker. But Coppola didn't want to work with his own nephew after Peggy Sue got married, because Cage does this crazy way of talking throughout Peggy Sue got married, and Francis Ford Coppola was like, don't fucking do that. Stop doing that. And he was like, no, keep doing it. And then the movie came out and it didn't do amazing. So Coppola kind of blamed Nick Cage for that. And I think that was why their relationship dissolved. After that, was like, he hardly worked with his uncle again. And Cage even wanted to be in this most recent movie, Megaopolis or whatever is the movie that's coming out soon. And no, he was like, even fucking 80-year-old Francis Ford Coppola was like, no, sorry. I know you have an Oscar win and a few nominations, but fuck you.
I saw Deadfall and Arsenal. I'll be damned if I see you in a movie again.
I'm gonna cast Jason Schwartzman instead. Cousin will do a better job.
That guy can act.
Jonathan Skinechki.
Shek. I looked it up. Shek.
It's Shek?
Yep, that's how you say it. Shek. Just to correct us fucking it up every single time. We never said it right one time in the entire episode.
No, we never got close.
Jonathan Seychelles. Captain Nemo, Superman, and Dracula are the three roles that Nicolas Cage has always dreamed of playing since he started his acting career. He was cast, of course, famously in Superman, in Tim Burton's Superman Lives, but that project was canceled. He did end up voicing Superman in Teen Titans Go, and he was sort of, in The Flash.
Spoilers.
Kind of. As a cartoon
no one's
version
seen that
of
movie,
him.
So nobody cares about spoilers.
Nobody ever gonna watch that piece of shit.
There's already been like 1,000 articles written about his cameo in it.
Yeah,
they were like,
it was
please,
out
anything
everywhere
to get
before the
somebody to
fucking
go
movie
see it.
came out.
Yeah.
I was reading like the first Monday after it came out, or second Monday after it came out, it had performed worse than Top Gun Maverick's 9th Monday.
Yeah, the fall off from the opening weekend to the second weekend was drastic.
Yeah, it was like over 70% drop off.
It's almost like people had seen it.
Yeah. People were like, hey, did you see Flash? Yeah. Should I go see it? No.
Oh,
God, no.
I don't think people even asked that much. I don't think people
site.
even cared enough to ask if they should go see it.
Yeah. I think I'll watch it out of morbid curiosity and mostly to see Michael Keaton return as Batman. But aside from that, I
that was the best part of that movie. Is Keaton.
Not surprising.
I was at a Comic-Con recently, and I walked by, and somebody was talking at one of the booths, and I just overheard a snippet of that. Like, nobody went to see Flash to see Flash. They went to see Michael Keaton as Batman again, which was awesome. I was like, you just that's the discussion. And you'll hear that every time that movie's brought up now.
Yeah.
I went to go see Nicolas Cage and was very, very disappointed.
Joke's on you, man. That's how they got you.
They
got you in the theater. I hope he plays Captain Nemo at some point.
That'd be cool.
Pretty cool.
In League of
Especially
Extraordinary
older
Gentlemen
Cage.
remake.
Yeah,
the monkey's paw will curl and he gets to play Captain Nemo in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen 2. It'll kill his career like it did Sean Connery's.
That's the end, man. Oh, fuck. I just don't understand acting anymore. Remember, he was they wanted him to play Gandalf in Lord of the Rings, and he was like, no, I think this League of Extraordinary Gentlemen will be a better film.
It wasn't just that, he just didn't understand the script. Like, I
mean, like Lord of the Rings, dude. What the fuck? Like, that was an automatic win. You picked Extraordinary Gentlemen, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen over something that was already like a completely established IP that everybody wanted to see. But still, I can't even like imagine Sean Connery in that role. Ian McKellen killed it so much, you know.
Yeah, I would have. Yeah, I'm really glad he turned it down.
Yeah.
War of the Chook. You swift smack to the mouth that'll make you not drop a body down and wake up the Balrog.
There's just a unneeded chase scene through San Francisco, through the Hobbit. Or what the fuck do they call their the Hobbiton place?
The Shire.
The Shire.
The Shire.
Him and a Humvee.
He's just chasing a hobbit. Yeah.
He's just chasing hobbits.
Chris McKay actually went to bat for Nick Cage, convinced the studio to cast him by showing executives Kiss of Death, which is the movie where he plays like a bad guy who's like funny and scary at the same time. The one with David Caruso, it was like, you know, David Caruso had been on NYPD Blue, and then they were like, he could make the jump to movies, and then they watched Kiss of Death.
You mean CSI Miami?
He could do a CSI spinoff.
Was he on NYPD Blue too?
He was on NYPD Blue first, and then he was on CSI Miami. So he did NYPD
so they're like,
Blue.
you can make the jump, and then they're like, nope.
Jumped off, went and did Kiss of Death, and was like, nope.
Back to TV.
Back to the TV.
Back to awful TV shows. Here you go. Give him one-liners every opening.
Yeah. Chris McKay also believed that Nicolas Cage was the perfect pick for the character since Cage's father played the movie Nosferatu for him when he was 5 years old. I think that vampires and gothic films and silent movie acting were indelibly imprinted on him when he was really young. So that's why he was perfect to play the role, which is kind of true. I mean, like, he was emulating these older movies very early on in his career. And we've talked about it 300 times, I feel like, on this show, of like how Nosferatu inspired him and how Cabinet of Dr. Caligari inspired him. They even put an entire fucking sequence in Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent based on Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. So despite a history of turning down non-leading roles in studio films, Nicolas Cage actually signed on to do this film so that he could play Dracula finally, since it was his lifelong dream to portray the legendary figure. I think he would have taken any vampire role, but because it was Dracula, he really wanted to. This is the second time, of course, that Nicolas Cage has played a vampire who is a horrible boss for his employees. Though the first time, spoilers, he wasn't actually a vampire. He had Renfield syndrome. I mean, he told us he was a vampire.
He had the teeth
several times, and he had the teeth, dude. He was definitely a vampire. While promoting Season of the Witch back in 2011, Nicolas Cage said that his love for his co-star Christopher Lee is the reason he makes horror movies. And Lee is considered to be the best actor to portray Dracula on screen. I forget when he played, like 1979 version of Dracula.
He did a lot of them.
Yeah, Christopher Lee is like one of the coolest fucking actors ever.
All the Hammer horror films in the 60s and 70s. Mm-hmm. He was like the Dracula.
It was like, wasn't there like a rumor at one point that the character of James Bond was based on Christopher Lee?
Yes.
Yeah. Like, he's just the coolest fucking dude ever. Dude made like a metal album when he was in his 90s.
Yeah.
Cage, of course, called him his favorite Dracula, which is interesting because you figure he would have loved the Bela Lugosi Dracula the most. But Christopher Lee is, badass. Nicolas Cage's mannerisms as Dracula are all explicitly based on Christopher Lee's Dracula, though you can see the Bela Lugosi coming through, I feel like.
It's a mix.
Especially like when he does that rise from the coffin towards the end of the film. That's so exactly the same as the 1931 version. And then finally, an enormous fan of Dracula and the source material, Nicolas Cage prepared for his role by observing the distinctive ways Dracula was portrayed on screen. It's like I just said this, didn't I? By Bela Lugosi, Frank Langella, and Gary Oldman. What can I bring that will be different, he said. I want it to pop in a unique way. We've seen it played well. We've seen it played not so well. So what can we do? So I'm thinking to really focus on the movement of the character and that perfect tone of comedy and horror, which I think he did really well. I mean, we've talked about it many times, but like his physical acting in this and in most things was amazing. Mm-hmm. I think that's what he really brought to this role was like he had that physicality of Dracula and the movements and stuff. His like snake movements in this worked, unlike Spirit of Vengeance. Like they did. I think they toned it down a little bit. They didn't just have him sit there and do a fucking cobra movement.
Well, his head's on fire and you can't even fucking tell because there's no emotion coming from a flaming skull, and it's just like super close up, pretty much just shoulders up.
Yeah.
Fucking awful piece of shit movie. God, fucking hate that movie.
Yeah. I mean, for all its faults, this movie is nothing compared to that piece of shit as far as the things that aren't great about it.
Yeah.